In this video, I'm going to discuss the opening moves of the board game Dune Imperium, with the Rise of Ix expansion included. If you watch this video through to the end, you should have a decent idea about how to play the first few turns of your next game. This video is aimed at beginner to intermediate play, so if you're a Grandmaster already, it may not help that much. In the late game, say turn 6 and onward, you'll have a lot to do. Isn't this video supposed to be about the opening moves? Yes. So why are you talking about the late game? I mean, we have a script. Why don't you read it? Well, I can't talk about openings without describing a few things about the late game. Yeah. So, as I was saying, you're going to have a lot to do in the late game. For example, on any given round, you should score an alliance, put some troops into the battle, draw an intrigue card, put some more troops into the battle, score an alliance and put a lot more troops into the battle, buy a card, the spice must flow, buy another card, show them directorship. And of course, to do all this, you will need to produce copious amounts of spice and Solari. So you'll need to visit the shipping track and harvest tons of spice. Wait a minute, how are you doing that? How many agents do you have? 19. 19 agents? Why do I only have 2? It's my leader. See? That's not a real leader. You can't play with that. Oh, let's compromise. I'll keep, what do you say, 15 agents? No. You're being unreasonable. What about I keep 5 agents? Absolutely not. You get 2, just like everybody else. How am I supposed to do all this cool stuff with 2 lousy agents? Forget it. This whole video's out the window. Nobody can do all this stuff with 2 agents. You're gonna have to make choices. What do you mean? For one thing, you could focus on a single area of the game. Maybe you should concentrate on the influence tracks. Or you could concentrate on winning conflicts. Either way, I think some rounds you'll just gather resources to support your next turn. That's not fun. There must be some way I can get more agents. There is. The Swordmaster. Swordmaster. Awesome. It must go all Obi-Wan on your opponents or something. If you strike me down, Darth, I will become more powerful than you can ever imagine. No, actually it's just another agent. Yeah, right. I bet it wanders into the conflict and knocks your opponents into the abyss. No. Well, it must be different than an ordinary agent somehow. There is one thing. Yeah? Your regular agents are free, whereas your Swordmaster costs you 8 Solari in an action. What a ripoff. I'm not getting one. Fine, but during the critical actions of the late game, your opponent will have 50% more actions than you. And every other round, they'll go both first and last. Yeah, I see what you mean. So, where do I get 8 Solari? Finally, we're back to the topic of the video, opening moves. The easiest way to get 8 Solari is to start by going to Smuggling, where you will get 1 Solari and move 1 step up the shipping track. Then, on your second turn, go to Wealth, where you'll get 2 more Solari. Then, in the second round, you go to Smuggling again, where you can downship on the shipping track to get 5 Solari with a tip of 1 Solari to your friends. At that point, you'll have everything you need to get your Swordmaster in the second turn of the second round. What's better is you can use your Swordmaster right away. Still have 1 turn in the second round to do whatever you like. Well, that's about it. That's the end of the video. Cue outro.
Wait a second, that's never gonna work.
Sure it is. What's the problem?
Well, your opponents aren't idiots. They'll just want to do the same thing. You won't be able to go to smuggling on the first round unless you're first to act. But then, since the first player marker moves between turns, you won't be able to go on your second turn because someone else will go to smuggling before you do. And what about the wealth space? Don't you think anyone else might want to make friends with the Emperor? It's a pretty good name to drop when you're wandering around town, you know. Yeah, that reminds me of something the Emperor told me when I was at his private residence last week.
Simple solution. Only play with people who don't learn very quickly.
Most people who play games of this weight, they learn pretty fast.
I know one opponent who is guaranteed to never learn anything.
Who? I hope I don't know them.
House Hagal, of course. The opening I described will work pretty well in a solo game, assuming you draw the cards you need and House Hagal doesn't draw the wrong ones. But admittedly, in a multiplayer game against humans, there's likely to be a line at smuggling. Even so, if you're first to act, you might want to take smuggling anyway.
Why would you do that? We already know you won't be able to downship in the second round.
If I'm first to act, and I don't take smuggling, the second player probably will. And then the first player token passes between turns, and they'll be first to act on the second round. So they'll be able to take smuggling again, and they'll be in a great position to get their Swordmaster in the second round.
Great. So now I'm rushing to get Solari in the second round. Not because I'm actually gonna get them, but just to keep someone else from getting them.
That's about it. It's one of the reasons why games among experienced players aren't always shorter. People start blocking each other in ways that aren't immediately apparent. It's rather thematic to the Dune books if you think about it.
Yes, but what does it mean for the game? If I'm first player, I'm motivated to go to smuggling, assuming I have the card. But what does my opponent do?
They have options. They might take wealth, with an eye toward going to smuggling later. Alternately, they could visit Fold Space to start building a relationship with the Spacing Guild. If they can get to the second level of influence with the Spacing Guild, they can access interstellar shipping and bypass the line at smuggling. Or they could get some water.
Water?
Well, while everyone else is rushing around for Solari and getting in each other's way, spice will be accumulating in the desert. So you might want to get some water on your first turn and then either save it to visit the Great Flat on the second round or use it to immediately raise a small army during the first round. If you follow that second course of action, you get a point for influence with the Fremen, and you have a decent chance of winning the conflict too, which might give you another point or a chance to make friends, or even...
Wow! That's the same icon you get for going to smuggling. And you get a spice too.
Exactly. And even second place rewards can be pretty helpful. If you find all your preferred moves blocked for one reason or another, you might just visit Carthage for an intrigue card and push a couple troops in for second place.
Wait a minute. Every time you show us your hand, there are different cards in it. You're cheating, aren't you?
Everyone starts with the same 10 cards, but depending on which ones you draw in the first round, your strategic options might be limited. For example, you cannot visit both Fremen spaces unless you draw both of your influence cards in the first draw. If you don't draw any cards with yellow triangles, you won't be using smuggling, etc. One thing to notice, based on what you have in your first draw, you know what you'll have in your second draw. So if you have both daggers and your signet ring in your first draw, you won't have any green tags in the second round, so you won't be buying a Swordmaster. On the other hand, if you have both daggers in your first draw, this might be a good time to get a few troops in the conflict. Make sure and watch your opponent's reveal turns too. If they don't reveal any dagger cards in their first turn, you know they'll have two next time. That might help you assess whether or not to invest in the conflict in the second round. Speaking of reveal turns, what cards should I buy out of the display? It depends. Accurate, and yet useless. You really ought to look for a career in technical sport. Thanks. Okay, but still, what cards should we buy out of the display? Well, as I said earlier, you're going to have to make choices. You can't do everything in Dune Imperium. If you want to play an influence-heavy game and pick up some points by buying The Spice Must Flow, then you'll need to buy cards with the necessary tags and lots of influence. If you want to focus on the conflict, you'll need to buy cards that help with conflict. You have to watch for cards that synergize well together, or that are simply awesome, regardless of your strategy. In any case, it hardly matters. What? After all that, you say it hardly matters? Well, in the early game, you only have 5 cards to look at anyway, and you won't be able to afford most of them, so a lot of times, you're faced with a few cards that you don't want. But because those cards are still better than the cards in your deck, you probably want to buy one. Shouldn't I just skip buying a card to keep my deck lean? Sometimes it's that bad. But you don't get that many chances to buy a card in Dune Imperium, and you don't cycle your deck very often. And you don't have many chances to get rid of cards you don't want. So unlike a lot of other deck building games, I'd say go ahead and buy a card if you can. Okay, that's a lot to think about. What should I do in the mid-game? That's where it gets too situational to say much. If you want to win a lot of conflicts, I'd say get both of your dreadnoughts. If you want to win on influence points, you're going to need to keep building your deck. In either case, I'd say keep an eye out for useful technologies, and when possible, score points. Very helpful, I'm sure, and yet also too non-specific to be of any real help. Sometimes in games, it's better, in the mid-game, to focus on building up your strength instead of scoring. But in Dune Imperium, points are really tight. And if you get a chance to score a point on an intrigue card, or you get a chance to buy The Spice Must Flow card, or you get a chance to get a point off of a technology, you probably want to capitalize on that right away. My point is, you don't win the game by having your Swordmaster, or having a seat on the council, or by having a pile of spice. You win the game with points, and in Dune Imperium, they're hard to find. So why did we make this video? We're gonna get rich and be famous, right? No. There's literally 0% chance that we'll get rich on this video. In fact, even if we ever see a cent of revenue, we'll never pay off the camera equipment. Maybe we just wanted an excuse to talk to ourselves without anyone calling us shrink. That could be it. But I was thinking, maybe we wanted to stimulate discussion about strategy in modern board games. But discussion requires more than one person. 2 people, 10 maybe, who all have ideas and share them and argue about them. That's discussion. So I'm sure this video isn't the last word in Dune Imperium strategy. Not even close. Leave your ideas in the comments, or make your own video, or post a thread somewhere. That'd be great. That'd be cool. Are you sure you want that? People out on the internets can be pretty mean. Hey, even hate posts are engagement. Heck, they might subscribe just so that they could hate on us again next time. I hope this was useful, or maybe just entertaining. Thanks for watching. Swordmaster.